I wonder how many of these you could stuff in a cartoon car. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Toony Terrors, killer clowns from outer space, Slim and Chubby. Bring the fun of Saturday morning cartoons to your horror collection with the adorable little creeps of Toony Terrors, NECA's line of stylized horror icons. From the cult classic movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Slim and Chubby stand approximately 6 inches tall. Collect them all and make every day Toony Terror time. With the circus of screams about to begin, before we get a closer look at the brand new Toony Terrors, Slim and Chubby, I'd like to first thank the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide the samples we're about to have a look at. These are available as far as I know right now, if you guys are interested to get these for yourself. Grabbing the tape measure, as we always do, first for Slim. Slim is quite impressive at almost 7 inches in height. In fact, he's probably about 6 3/4 of an inch tall, and that works out to be about a figure that's 17 centimeters in height. Chubby not only is chubby, but shorter as well. The figure is only, in this case, I say only, diminishing how cool he still looks. He's only about 5 3/4 of an inch tall, or the figure's about 14.5 centimeters in height. When the time comes to have these on display, I'll of course have them displayed with the earlier looked at Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Toony Terrors Shorty, who lives up clearly to his namesake. He is only, in this case, to about the shoulders, I would say, of Slim, and to about maybe the double chin, maybe not the first, maybe the second, of Chubby. Here's also the accessory that came along with Shorty. So, of course, I'm going to be displaying them together. And though, also for comparisons, we might as well bring in the figures that made up somewhat of this wave. Shorty would have been the same wave as, of course, the Ghouliana we just recently had a look at. We also had a look at the alien, the male alien from They Live. And here's Scott Howard from Teen Wolf. As for, though, the accessories that come included with both the figures, luckily they do come included with display stands. I say that more for Slim than I do for Chubby. Slim stands fine, although he still comes included with a display stand. The stands themselves aren't exactly the same size, like the characters themselves that they belong to. One is clearly a little more rounder and stumpier. Clearly it's going to be going then with Chubby, not that it really matters. And then this one would be, well, of course, Slim. Footprint-wise, you can easily then take either one of them and attach them onto the display stands. You'll notice a hole on only one of the feet here of Slim. It attaches onto the display stand, and it gives you enough footprint space to accommodate this figure. Say, for example, you did want to use like this display stand. It still will work, although it's just going to have a little less of a footprint space to accommodate, of course, the figure. So, of course, he does come included with a display stand, but I would say the figure that needs it the most is honestly Chubby. It's only by mere luck alone that I've actually got this guy to stand right now. He does have a wobbling issue, and a lot of it has to do with the way they've actually arched the one foot. This foot is fine, but the other foot does cause a little bit problems, and you can kind of see already how he's weebling and wobbling. Unlike the Weeble, he will fall down. So, of course, I will take myself the display stand and just attach it onto the underside of his feet. And then you're as good as go. You're good to go. For the figure's accessories, not counting display stands, the figure comes included with a human wrapped up in cotton candy. I love that fact that they would have actually included this, though for a second I thought that there would have been a missing accessory, maybe a pole, for example, that would have held this. Because looking at it first in the plastic prison where these characters came from, I thought to myself, there's no way that would be able to stand, not assuming that the bottom would be flat. Luckily, though, being it flat, it stands fine, and it doesn't really need it. Still, though, I would have liked if they could have included some sort of hanging bracket, because whenever I consider the hanging humans in cotton candy, I was thinking them actually more suspended than actually just resting down on the ground like this. For what it is, though, it's nicely painted. It's fairly hard plastic. Well, I guess it does have a little bit of a lightness to it, but it's not a squishy plastic. The face sticking out definitely looks like he's probably asleep. I don't know if I should really wake him. The coloring on the face is clearly a darker red, where the majority of the cotton candy is kind of more of a light, more sweet pink. A little striping there on the top. And again, you've got the hook, but there's really nothing to hold the hook in place. Figures also come included with the acid pie. Careful, don't get that too close to your face. The pie itself does have a nice little swirl effect to the top, and of course you've got the pie crust underneath here. This does fit onto Chubby's hands, although not easy. You sort of have to really balance this on the hand and just immediately getting the figure out of the packaging. You would think that the arm and hand are actually in the right place, but they're not. The arm actually does move back and forth, and the hand also does swivel back and forth. And really, between the two, you really have to get this just the right place. If the hand is too leaning one side, then the pie doesn't balance well enough in his hand. And there's been several times, in fact, actually, I've tried to get the pie in his hand. He ends up just dropping it. But if you get it just right, that sweet spot, literally the sweet spot where that pie will sit, then the pie sits fine. The figure also comes included, not to startle you, with a cotton candy ray gun. It's nicely molded here. There are a few little things that they would have left off here, but they more or less stylized the gun. The coloring on the end of it almost looks unfinished. You can see like there's a little bit of darker blue. I'm guessing they probably only applied one single coat of pink paints, but that's fine. It does fit, though, into Slim's hands. It doesn't fit into Chubby's because Chubby's already occupied with a cream pie, but of course you're just going to sit that into his hand and it sits fine. The other hand, literally on the other hand, is just a relaxed hand that's going to rest parallel to his body. So you're really not going to do anything with it. It's kind of strange the way they've actually got the hand, because if you have it arched just the right way, it looks as if he's almost holding you up and wanting money. Likely, if you don't know this already, the fact he has a cotton candy gun in his hand, I would be handing over what spare change I have in my pocket right away. So those are the accessories. Putting those to the side, at least for right now, let's just remove the pie, because I know that's going to fall also as well. Getting a close look first at Slim. I actually like this one second, I think, to Chubby. Chubby's got a lot more personality going for him, but I love the colors that they managed to put to the face here. The red, of course, there on the back is very nicely painted. Actually, you know, to the credit of NECA, all the paint really on the figure, for the most part, is quite good. I have one little smudge on the back of Chubby's body. We'll look at that more in a second. The body actually is about the same weight. Maybe it's a little bit heavier than the cotton candy human. It feels like it's a little hollow. But again, like, I can't expect them to use a full solid bit of plastic to use this. All of like the heart, all of the moons, I should say, the crescent moons alternating, are all sculpted on top of the body. So instead of actually just simply painting it, they did sculpt it to the body. That's a nice little touch. The little rings that he has, also the tops of his sleeves, are also something that's sculpted to the plastic, not merely just painted. And they did take the time to actually paint each of the individual fingernails. A nice little touch on NECA's part. For the articulation on Slim, his head is on a ball joint, which is nice to say. I mean, usually when it comes to these Toony Terror figures, they're usually quite limited to articulation, more in just the head, just in the shoulders, sometimes the hands, and sometimes the feet. And while I do feel like Slim doesn't seem to be able to move his feet at all, he still manages to get off a ball joint at the top of his head, or where the head attaches at least to the neck. It allows the head to look down, look up, and you can also rock it back and forth as well. Now, again, also you can rotate it all the way around, but it is going to get hung up around the collar that he has. So you only can really move it to about there and only to about there. As for the arms do hinge forward and also back. I mean, obviously, for the way they've posed this, likely you're probably just going to have the arm just, again, draped to the side of his body, because it doesn't really serve other than just holding you up. It doesn't serve much other purpose than that. The hands rotate also back and forth, and there is no leg articulation or foot articulation for the feet here for Slim. Nice looking figure, but I think between the two, my favorite is Chubby. I'm going to remove his foot post for a second. One thing I did, again, want to point out is the fact I got like one little, it almost looks like it's a scratch to the plastic. I tried to remove it, in fact, with like a cloth with water, and it didn't come off. So it may have gotten just scratched when it was inside the factory. But other than the little problem that I have with this one figure, like, the paint's really done well here. All the spirals, I would imagine, have been printed on rather than not painted, but they actually look good. I mean, I don't really have any real issues with the spirals themselves. Head sculpt by far is my favorite of the two. He's got a full face. I actually knew somebody in school that looked like this, maybe minus the clown paint, although I wasn't always around him. He may have been putting clown paint on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's a good-looking head sculpt. What teeth he has, some could say are summer teeth, are nicely sculpted. They're painted well also as well. He's got the little cheeks there on the side that are painted in red. Big nose, clown nose there on the front. And the eyes, though as small as they may be, are also painted well on NECA's part. I like the little tufts of hair that he has. Sort of looks like he's got like a little rat tail on the back of his hair as well, and that's also been sculpted there too. From the back of it, it actually kind of looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man who has gone punk. It looks a little bit like that. He does have the frilled collar. The collar itself, like Slim, is actually more of a slightly softer plastic. The head's a very hard plastic, and then the body, knock knock, who's there, is actually kind of more of a hollow body. But it doesn't feel like, you can't squeeze it necessarily. Not that you'd be wanting to squeeze it, but it doesn't have like the texturing, or it has the density of like a dog toy. It does feel hollow, knock knock, but it doesn't feel like you'd be able to squeeze the plastic, if that makes any sense. Like the Slim we looked at already, he does have tiny little dots there of finger paint, or fingernails. I can't imagine they're actually, maybe they are painting their nails. I don't know. I haven't really asked a killer clown lately. And again, like overall, it's just a really neat looking figure. His articulation is about the same as Slim's. So his head's going to be on, again, a ball joint. But again, with the size of the noodle that he has, it's a lot harder to move his head. I mean, look at the size of this melon. You can only rock it back and forth just a little bit. You can also hinge it back and forth, but more so the mileage is made from rotating the head all the way around. That's where he at least benefits it. Everything else after that, you can't do too much with it. Arms rotate back and forth, and that's the case actually on both sides. So if he kind of wanted to have his, well, he wouldn't be able to throw the pie this way. The pie would simply just slide off his palm, but at least he does have a rotation in the shoulder there. Hands rotate also back and forth. That's the same on both the sides. And he doesn't have, again, any foot articulation. Not that he really would be able to anyways, because even if you would be able to rotate his feet, I don't think it would improve. It would only lessen, I think, his stability when it comes to standing. Luckily, NECA realized that, and once again included display stands. So again, if you're having problems with these figures, immediately, before you get them on the shelf, put the display stands on them. That will be your aid. Slim really, again, doesn't need it, but for the sake of consistency, I'm just going to, again, attach the display stand onto his feet. Nice looking figures, though. Still, though, I don't understand why this didn't have a hanging hook to it. At least it's flat to the bottom, so at least you can have it displayed again along with your figures. And if you already had picked up the shorty, you can have a nice little display of killer clowns from outer space sitting on your shelf. Seeing as they all arrived to Earth in their big top spaceship, I might as well have displayed them all here in final looks all together, bringing back in the earlier looked at shorty who was singularly packed. He can now be displayed along with the 2-pack of deluxe figures that we're getting courtesy of the folks over at NECA Toys. The facts that they are larger figures than the shorty we looked at before clearly would indicate that they should have been packaged together. I suppose they probably could have sold them separately, but again, usually when it comes to Toony Terrors, they're not as big as the likes of what we're getting here with both Slim and Chubby. The figures come included with accessories. Chubby has the harder time, of course, to be displayed with the acid pie, simply just because, again, you got to rest it onto his palm. It doesn't plug in place. And I guess if they had put a place, like a little peg on the bottom of it, they would unfortunately have to have put a little hole, a very ugly, noticeable hole in Chubby's hands. So I guess it's probably for the better that they just have it resting on his hand instead. The figures also come included, as already mentioned in this review, the hung, not so hung, cotton candy human. In this case, it's sort of just, again, rests along on the shelf with the other Toony Terror killer clowns. And I guess that's okay. If I really wanted to find something, I'm sure I probably could even create a hanging hook to hang it from. Maybe it might be something that they might just package along with, I don't know, a future release, an accessory pack, or maybe other killer clowns that they're planning to do for Toony Terrors. Let's hope. Let's hope that's the case. But what do you guys think of Slim and Chubby? Nice looking figures overall. And of the two, which would you say is your favorite? I still kind of like Chubby. I don't know. Slim obviously is a cool looking figure, but I like just the striping, the spiraling that he has on the outfit of Chubby. Really nice looking figures. Both nice looking figures. Big thank you once again to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the brand new Killer Clowns from Outer Space deluxe set of Slim and Chubby that we had the chance to have a look at in this review. If you guys enjoyed this video, want to hit it with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and certainly do want to stick around for more, also, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that you're turning on the bell notification. But, if you have also a little bit of time on your hands, popping up at the very end of this video will also be 2 playlists. One for NECA, one for NECA's Toony Terror line. So if you wanted to go back and check out the other things that NECA has done for Toony Terrors, you'll be able to find everything in that playlist. I think I've actually covered everything, in fact, for Toony Terrors. I don't think there's one that I've actually forgotten. Maybe there is. Somebody will let me know down below in the comment section. Lots more content coming your way as always, guys. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.